I'm sure all of you have heard the old saying that practice makes perfect, and it's a great saying in theory. It seems to apply well to life, is that in order to get better at something, you have to work at something. If you work at something, you're going to get better at something. It's a very sensible thing, and it seems to carry over in all facets of life. And I think in a lot of ways it's true. Yet for some inexplicable reason, it doesn't seem to always apply in professional sports when it comes to that particular league's draft. Specifically, the NFL and NBA drafts. You would think you've got one of these every motherfucking year, that even if at first you screw up and you mess up and you F up, that after enough practice and enough work at it, you would start to figure out how it actually works and how to do things better, most especially of all and most importantly of all, learn not how to repeat your dumb dick mistakes of the past and be like, ding dong, that's wrong, let's do it better. But yeah, in the NFL and especially the NBA as well, it seems like there are those teams that are stuck in this incessantly never-ending perpetual cycle of ever-loving dumb stupidity. They make a mistake, then come right back and make the same mistake again, apparently not learn from the mistake, do the most foolish thing of all, repeat the mistake yet again, all the while expecting the results to be anything different than what they've been before. Then when they're not, be surprised about it, so that way you'll just continue to make the same mistake again over and over and over again. You get a chance at this every effing year. You would think at some point in time, even if you're not that good, at some point in time, even certain organizations, certain teams would be able to dumb fucking luck their way into having a good damn draft. Or getting lucky in spite themselves and figuring it out, or at least having a great player end up stumbling into their frickin' lap. But there are those certain teams that just can't do that. And when we talk about NBA teams, there are those teams that draft well, they get it, they know what the hell they're doing, so they find themselves in the position that they're in because of that. But then you get those other teams that don't get it, that don't know what the hell they're doing, and therefore, as a result, also find themselves in those same situations, and in particular, picking in the same area of the NBA draft in the lottery each and every freaking year. And one of those teams that most certainly fits this billing has to be the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets are the perfect example of just because your owner is the greatest player of all time, just because the people involved with your scouting and your front office have worked in the game for years, doesn't mean they have a fucking clue of what they're doing. And doesn't mean that they're any good at their goddamn current jobs. Period. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. You don't have to be somebody that works in the NBA or be a scout or a general manager or a coach to understand that Charlotte doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. I mean, year after year after year, it is just ridiculous dumb dick decision after dumb dick decision. And again, at some point in time, you think the light bulb would go off and say, ding dong, that's wrong, let's do something different. And for an organization that is owned by one of the smartest players in the history of the NBA and the best player in the history of the NBA, you would think that at some point in time they would figure it out. But for some reason, for everything that Michael Jordan was as a player, he isn't as an owner. He is the ultimate buster bum of an owner. And his organization is one of the ultimate buster bums when it comes to the NBA draft year in and year out. This organization absolutely astounds me with their mind-blowing stupidity. How can you so consistently get the fucking draft wrong? So consistently. I mean, holy Christ. What am I talking about here? What's so bad about it? Am I just overreacting to them taking Frank Kaminsky number 9 overall? No, I'm not. But what Frank Kaminsky is a representation of so many things that are wrong with the Charlotte Hornets and their drafting philosophy over the years under Michael Jordan. That's what it is, and that's the problem. It's just the most recent example. let's go back a few years. Let me help paint the picture for you. The 2011 draft. The Charlotte Bobcats at the time take Kemba Walker 9th overall. Understandable, productive college player. I think, didn't he win a national championship? Blah, blah, blah. So they took him, point guard, all that jazz. But then they also acquired the 7th overall pick by packaging up Steven Jackson, Sean Livingston, and what ended up being the 19th overall pick, Tobias Harris, for Bismack Biyombo. Bismack Biyombo was the 7th overall pick in the 2011 NBA draft. In the minds of who? Apparently just the Charlotte freaking Hornets. Now, Kemba Walker's been a nice player at the NBA level. There's no question about that. He's easily, in my opinion, the best draft pick they have had in a long, long time as an organization. But again, Bismack Biyombo, 7th overall. They gave up 2 players and the number 19th overall pick for a guy who's been much better at the NBA level in Tobias Harris for the Orlando Magic. For Bismack Biyombo. Bismack Biyombo! And all the while, what did they pass on? Let's say they do that exact same trade, and they still end up with that 7th and 9th pick. They only passed up on guys like Klay Thompson, who went 11th, Kawhi Leonard, who went 15th, Nikola Vucevic, who went 16th, I believe, in that draft. Look at that. A big man that averages like 16-plus points a game. Kawhi Leonard, an NBA Finals MVP, top-flight perimeter defender in the NBA. And Klay Thompson, an all-star who just won an NBA championship with the Golden State Warriors. The Charlotte Hornets passed on all of those guys for Bismack Biyombo. And then we look at 2012. They had the 2nd overall pick. So, of course, they took a guy that was limited on the offensive end in Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. Who did they pass on that they could have taken with the 2nd overall pick? Better players. Of course, it'd be Charlotte if it wasn't the case. They could have had Bradley Beal, who for some inexplicable reason they thought was an inferior prospect to get Kidd-Gilchrist, which I think is just ridiculous then, is even more ridiculous now. They passed on Damian Lillard, Harrison Barnes, Andre Drummond. Basically, they passed up on a bunch of good players for a limited role player that they took number 2 overall. And then you could even look at the 2nd round. The depths of the stupidity and the incompetence of the Hornets goes into the 2nd round, too. So many times they trade away their 2nd-round picks like they don't even matter. But then when they do take somebody, they take somebody like Jeffrey Taylor out of Vanderbilt, 31st overall. And in that 2nd round, they even passed on guys like Draymond Green and Chris Middleton. Guys that are about to get paid. That's the Hornets for you. But in the last 3 years has just been an ever-loving cycle of total stupidity to even greater levels than taking guys like Brandon Knight and Adam Morrison and so on and so forth. Where do I even begin and how can I possibly stop? You would think for a guy in Michael Jordan, and I know he's not the general manager, Norm Cho is, but at the end of the day, don't bullshit yourselves. He's the HNIC of all that you see when it comes to the Charlotte Hornets. You really think Michael Jordan isn't going to have some type of input or ultimate final say, similar to like a Vince McMahon would in WWE? Get the fuck out of here. As a result, every one of these picks has Michael Jordan's fingerprints all over them. What I don't understand is for a guy that hated Jerry Krause for so long and despised him so badly, why he chooses to mimic him in the fucking NBA draft. Jerry Krause had this infatuation that would get his 2-inch penguin pee-pee all aroused and erect every year at the thought of drafting another worthless power forward in the 1st round. Corey Blunt, Dickie Simpkins say, what? Jerry Krause couldn't help himself. He always had to draft some type of lame-ass fucking big man. Every fucking year was a power forward or a center that we're going to convert to a power forward. So now you've decided that for your team's draft philosophy, you're going to mimic the guy that you hated for so many fucking years. The last 3 years in the 1st round, the Charlotte Hornets have taken a Big Ten big man in the top 10. In many ways, similar types of players. Or at least, if nothing else, you say, they play the same fucking position. What the hell are you doing? In 2013, they draft Cody Zeller, who fucking cares? It doesn't matter. It's too inconsequential to get his name right, 4th overall. Who they pass up in that scrub-ass draft? So, still some good players. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, Ben McLemore, Nerlens Noel. Point being, players better than Cody Zeller. 2014, Noah Vunla, 9th overall. He goes back to Indiana. Says Cody Zeller was such a rousing fucking success. Let's get a black version of him and Noah Vunla that you just traded away as part of a package to get Nicholas Batum. You drafted the exact same position 2 straight years in a row. And then to top it off, in the 2015 NBA draft, you took Frank Kaminsky III, another 4 or 5 power forward center out of Wisconsin, the Big Ten, 9th overall. The 3rd straight year, you took a Big Ten power forward. And the 2nd straight year that you did one with the 9th overall pick. Are you trying to run out there a Jerry Krause all-star team of nothing but fucking power forwards? You realize that this is a perimeter and guard-dominated league, don't you? You would think if anybody understands that you have to have great guard play to win an NBA championship, is the guy that ultimately changed the philosophies of a lot of front offices and organizations, and Michael Jordan. Yet he seems to be the ultimate epitome of stuck in the past thinking when it comes to drafting fucking assholes. Every year it's got to be some worthless ass unathletic big man from the Big Ten. And what's so stupid about this is for a team that needed talent on the wings and needed shooting, you had guys like Justice Winslow and Devin Booker on the board, and you took Frank Kaminsky. Why? And I don't understand why Michael Jordan, after all this time, you go back to the Adam Morrisons, the so-ons, the so forth, falling in love with these really productive college players and thinking that automatically translates to them being great NBA players. No, it fucking doesn't. And in particular, you repeat the same mistake at the same damn position time after time after time. And Kaminsky, the problem is not so much that you just took him. It's the fact that it's the 3rd straight year you took a similar type of player to a certain degree from the same freaking conference at the same god-blessed damn position. And in this particular case, you passed on players that were potentially better and better fits. Devin Booker might have most certainly been a better fit, something you really needed. And most certainly to me, Justice Winslow was the far superior prospect in my mind, the #1 player in this entire draft. And you took Frank Kaminsky! The hell are the Charlotte Hornets doing? Does this organization realize that the name of the game is to win an NBA championship, not pick in the top 10 of the lottery every freaking year? And even when you listen to me talk about the different picks that they have, 2011, 9th. 2012, 2nd. 2013, 4th. 2014, 9th. 2015, 9th. Anybody notice a trend here? Anybody? 5 straight years picking in the top 10, including 2 years mixed in there, sandwiched in there, where they were picking in the top 5. So this is not you got to wait for it to play out, you give it the benefit of the doubt. No, based off of history, you know this pick is stupid because the Charlotte Hornets are fucking stupid. The fuck are they doing? And yet they'll wonder why they end up in the same damn position. What makes this Kaminsky pick even worse is they just traded away Lance Stevenson, who busted out badly for them in free agency, for a guy like Spencer Hawes, who is a similar type of player in many ways to Frank Kaminsky. So you drafted this guy 9th overall so he can play 15 minutes a game as a fucking rookie. Again, stupidity at its highest order is repeating the same mistake over and over and over again and expecting the results to ever be any different. That's madness, and that's insanity to the highest order. And apparently practice doesn't make perfect for the Charlotte Hornets, because the more practice they get at it, the worse they seem to get at it. And that's a fact. And you look at the history, it most certainly hasn't gotten any better. So it could only have gotten worse. This is ridiculous. Pathetic. Certain organizations are who they are because they've made it that way, and there is no question. Because they don't know what the hell they're doing, the Charlotte Hornets are who they are, and they've earned it. What the fuck are you doing, Charlotte? This is not how you run a draft. This is not how you build a championship contending team.